Dear colleagues and friends, the time has come for a short reflection on the events of the past year before saying goodbye to 2013 and look into the future to welcome the new year and wish you all a fulfilling and memorable 2014. The European Youth Forum has been warning the European governments and institutions about the lack of a strategic and strong investment in youth for more than 5 years and denounced the emergence of a so-called lost generation. In 2013, the Forum still insisted on this simple but fundamental point. We continued to raise the voice, both supporting our members active at the grassroots as well as claiming the rights of millions of young people at the highest political level. It was one of the most intense years ever for the Forum and its members, with the negotiations with the European Parliament, the European Commission and the Council of the EU over the multi-annual financial framework, as well as on the new programs at their peak. In this context, we celebrated the 25th anniversary of EU youth programs and succeeded to get both Commissioner Vassiliou and the chair of the Cult Committee PAC of the European Parliament stating at the YoFest their agreement on a separate chapter for youth in the Erasmus Plus program, as well as the continuation of the administrative grants for youth organizations. We strengthened our presence and visibility on youth employment issues, especially with a direct participation of the Youth Forum during the Heads of State Conference on Youth Employment in Paris in November. We pushed for our youth employment agenda at the highest level, for quality jobs, quality internships, and the need for a true commitment on mobilization of resources for the Youth Guarantee. We continue to prepare for the European elections in 2014. We launched the League of Young Voters with a spectacular flight of a hot air balloon taking off the esplanade of the European Parliament with the presence of Commission President Barroso. We also launched our Love You Future pledges to ask the candidates for the next Parliament to commit to a more youth-friendly European Union. All those achievements and challenges are only part of the enormous work we did during the year. And we achieved all this thanks to the volunteer commitment of our board, the professional work of our secretariat, and the support of our member organizations. While we should be proud of the work done, we should also keep in mind that there's always room for improvement and a lot remains to be done, particularly on our own capacity. I believe we are reaching a turning point as a platform, a turning point on statutes, a turning point on governance, and a turning point in the Secretariat next spring. Many of us, including myself and fellow board members, have taken on new challenges in our personal or professional lives, which presents us with the sometimes difficult task of finding a proper balance between work life and volunteering that can ensure that our development as people and board also benefits the platform. We need to maintain an honest and informed discussion about what we can and should do together as a platform, about who we represent and how we bring inclusiveness, transparency, and democratic accountability of everyone involved to an even higher level. As youth representatives, it is our duty to live up to the standards we proclaim and show that European youth is not a lost generation, but a generation with plenty of energy, ideas, and willingness to co-decide and co-manage the policies that most affect our lives. In 2014, we will be faced with many old and many new challenges. It will certainly be a turning point here for the political future of our continent. As our friends on the streets of Kiev and other Ukrainian cities continue their struggle for a fairer world, a world in which their voice can be heard and their dreams allowed to become a reality, many EU citizens feel frustrated and disenchanted by the European dream and its narrative of peace and welfare that means little to many after 5 years of harsh austerity measures. Some are thus turning towards xenophobic, anti-immigrant, hate speech-using right-wing national politicians for quick fixes. As young Europeans coming from all corners of the European continent who are committed to youth work and through it to the values of democracy, human rights, diversity and mutual respect, it is also our responsibility to offer a new, updated narrative of Europe. If Europe has become a project of well-meaning in which the old narrative of peace and welfare does no longer resonate among its citizens suffering from a financial, economic and social crisis, the youth civil society sector can offer a testimony that not less Europe, but more Europe is required and indeed desired. While the rhetoric of European values such as democracy, rule of law and solidarity does no longer echo in the hearts and minds of Europe's citizens, at best it is acknowledged, at worst cynically looked at in terms of their effective implementation, the political energy experienced at grassroots level in all the youth gatherings and meetings of the millions of young volunteers across Europe tells a different story. Tells a story of young people standing up for their rights, a story of young people helping each other and helping others, a story of intergenerational solidarity, a story of mutual respect regardless of the person's abilities, political affiliations, beliefs, sexual orientation or gender identity. It is time to start telling this story outside our bubble. It is time to raise our game and use the opportunity provided by the upcoming elections to the European Parliament end of May 2014 to demonstrate this youthful energy, to prove that young people do care about politics despite being frustrated with the options they currently have in terms of mainly visionless leaders turned managers of crises across Europe. It is time for young people to stand up and take to the ballot box. Even if you vote in blank to show your disapproval of the available options, or like in my case, with the fact we still have 28 national elections to the European Parliament instead of truly European elections. Whatever the reasons, voting is still the sine qua non of democracy and our best weapon to show we are committed to the idea of European integration, namely the idea that living and working together across cultural, across linguistic and national borders is not some utopian dream of our forefathers, but a reality that we enjoy, though recognize that it has pitfalls and needs to be constantly improved and nurtured. I urge all young people and each European citizen to actively participate in the much needed discussions about what kind of policy, implemented at which level and by whom we want, and with it, what kind of future EU we want to have. Let your voice be heard and make your vote count. Allow me to end this video message by wishing everyone a year in which, at the end of it, you will be able to look yourself in the mirror and say to yourself, I'm proud of what I did in 2014. I wish us all the courage, the energy, and the health needed to achieve this. Thank you for your attention and have yourself a great 2014.